Do I look Filipina to you? Are the shape of my eyes exotic? Would you describe them as almond? These are all questions I've thought to myself after years of being asked what my ethnicity is. And recently I've discovered that a lot of my peers have shared this experience with me. After joining a club called Kapitirang Filipino, UCSB's Filipino American Club, I've noticed that Filipino bodies are not often highlighted as much as they should be. Recently, I just facilitated a workshop teaching my community members how to interact with ice. Um, the likelihood of that happening is on the rise, and it's very important that we stay vigilant. But in all of these spaces, it's more and more apparent that Filipinx bodies are hypersexualized, exoticized, or erased in Western media. And in this essay, I want to focus on how artists resist those portrayals. My name is Caitlin White. This is my final project for writing 109 GS Gender Studies, and I'm excited to share my story with you. Growing up, I felt the pressure to mold into an ideal that I didn't really fit. Some of my family members always wanted me to be tan. They always thought that my skin was beautiful. I mean, I went outside a lot more when I was younger, so I definitely was darker than I am now. But I remember they told me that the way I looked and how much my skin glowed was beautiful. But my other side of my family wasn't really like that. My Filipino side, actually. They always praised my skin for actually being lighter than a lot of my family members. They told me to be careful about going in the sun. Some of my earliest memories are my grandma actually with a parasol and with a giant hat too, with gloves, just trying to stay out of the sun. I find these markers of beauty always celebrated in magazines and art, and obviously within my own family. Colonial legacies have embedded themselves into our beauty standards, praising mestiza features and rendering morena and indigenous traits invisible or undesirable. And in mainstream media, Filipinos are often portrayed as submissive and modest. Rarely are we seen as complex, multifaceted people. In mainstream media and fashion, Filipinos are often portrayed as either submissive and modest or hypersexualized and exotic. Rarely are we seen as complex, multifaceted people. The body becomes a battleground, an object to be judged, lightened, reshaped, or erased altogether. But Filipino artists are pushing back, where Filipino creators use fashion as a form of reclamation. Whether it's wearing a barot saya in everyday life or showing off sun-kissed skin unapologetically, they're refusing to be defined by someone else's narratives. These artists remind us that representation is not just about visibility, it's about autonomy. To understand how deeply colonization has shaped our bodies and relationships, we have to look beyond beauty standards into our roles, especially those tied into motherhood and intimacy. For Filipinas, our bodies have long been sites of control. Spanish and American colonizers imposed ideas of womanhood rooted in purity, submission, and service. These ideals weren't just moral, they were political. Filipino women were either idealized as the Maria Clara, the modest and obedient daughter, or vilified as hypersexual temptresses unfit for respect. Even today, those binaries show up in how we're treated. In families, women are often expected to nurture without complaint, to prioritize everyone but themselves. And when you're mixed race, this relationship gets even more complicated. People ask you if you're part white, as if whiteness tells you how beautiful or valuable you are. It's isolating to exist in between. Am I Filipino enough? Am I white enough? Our body is constantly a site of negotiation. But there's power in recognizing that this discomfort comes from systems that are meant to divide us. And we don't have to accept that. Modern femininity encourages us to be loud, to be unapologetic, to be fully us. It tells us to love our bodies, assert our desires, and challenge expectations. But what happens when that confidence feels foreign? when speaking up is disrespectful, and dressing freely feels like betrayal. That's where the contradiction lies. We're asked to perform empowerment that's palatable by the West, but disconnected from our communities, our own by Nihon. And yet, artists are finding ways to bridge that gap. So what now? We affirm each other, we continue building community, but most importantly, we take back the narratives that were long written for us. We share our stories on our own terms, whether that's through music, art, dance, narrative, or protest. We remind ourselves that our identity is expansive, it's beautiful, it's messy, and most importantly, it's ours. We're not anyone's fantasy. We're not here to be erased or reimagined by someone else. We're here to be seen, fully as ourselves.